him, and it was great. It was like clockwork, when two veteran guys get together. It just naturally flows. He was a great guy, real hard worker, knew the business in and out, and had been around the world already multiple times. So he was a seasoned veteran and quite a remarkable guy. Real talented in the ring. Of course, you guys know that. You can watch the tape. Some guys got it and some guys don't, but naturally he had it and he could do anything, and contributed a lot to the business, his dad, his whole family. And very unfortunate what happened. The whole world stopped and cried and mourned for a while, but life goes on. But quite a remarkable guy. There's a couple of different stories I got about Owen. Remember the Rodney King beating, and then they had the riots, and I guess it was in 93, 94. We had we were doing tours for WWF at the time. That was WWE, of course. And Vince didn't want to cancel, and it was shortly after the riots, and the riots had calmed down, but we were at the LA Forum, and so we were flying all of us on the same plane, flying in, and actually the buildings were still smoldering from the massive riots and fights and what was going on there. So we went to the hotel, checked in, and we went to the building, and I didn't ride with Owen Hart a lot. I rode with him on occasions, and, with the referee then. So Brett said, "Hey, Fonzie, we're going to the building a little early. You want to go with us?" I said, "Sure." So I jumped in the car with him. It was, 15-minute ride from the LAX Marriott to the Forum. And we rode there, and it was a little tense. The whole city of L.A. was a little tense for what happened. People got killed, massive destruction in that area. It was just terrible. But the show went on. Vincent Cancel, I admire him for that. So we got to the building and did our thing, and towards the end of the night, me and Owen were talking to a cop, find out what was going on and shit, and the cop just suggested, "Hey, everything's kind of calmed down, but you guys make sure when you leave the building, don't stop anywhere close to the LA Forum, because that's right kind of in the area where all the rioting took place and all that." And he said, "You guys just go back to the hotel and order room service or whatever." So naturally, we don't pay attention, you know what I mean? We jumped right after the matches. We stopped at the first store, and it's an area that was, so close to the disaster. And we get out and bullshit. I said, "Oh," and the cop said, "Don't stop." He said, "Fuck the cop. We're stopping anyway," you know what I mean? But that's what kind of guy he was. He wasn't scared of nothing, but and we did our thing, and there was a bunch of guys there, white, black, Mexican, and everybody put us over because, of course, they knew Brett and Owen, and they didn't know who I was. I was a referee, but some of the people, But we were treated well, and a hell of a guy. He was a ribber, liked to rib, but, again, I wasn't really in his clique a lot, although we worked together for years. But we had mutual respect, so we kind of didn't rib each other. But what a talented guy, and I really miss him. And I just saw Bret Hart. I did a show in San Jose, California. It was like a convention thing, and Bret was there. It was for Kurt White, and it was a little convention thing, and Bret was there. And I had brought a picture of me, Owen. It was a European tour that we did, and Hogan and Sebastian Booger and Papa Shango and Yokozuna and the whole crew, the Indians, Fonzie, the whole crew, and Owen was on there, and I gave a picture to Brett. We talked a little bit about Owen, very little, but it was all good, and he's missed. What a sad thing, But life goes on, and we got good memories. And hell of a guy. Wow.
Now, you kind of touched down on it, and you said that, he didn't really rib you because you guys had a mutual respect. Did you ever see him rib anybody else? If so, can you share a story?
Yeah, there's so many ribs. I just can't remember any particular rib because I kind of stayed out of it, because once you start ribbing, those guys, were crazy in the ribs. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to. I got the trickle down a ripple effect from some of the ribs that wasn't even involved in any. You know what I mean? So I kind of stayed out of it. But I like, I guess, flying on the airplane. I guess we're going to Japan or Europe somewhere. And one of the young kids, I forgot who it was. It might have been 1-2-3 Kid or somebody like that caliber. You know what I mean? And the kid had, I don't know if it was a 1-2-3 Kid, but somebody in that caliber. So, you know, it's a 13-hour flight from L.A. So, you know, naturally the guys have a couple drinks, take a sleeping aid, and try to sleep a few hours. And Owen shaved the guy's eyebrows off, of course, you know what I mean? And it was kind of funny. We all laughed, and the kid didn't even know it. He woke up and he had no eyebrows, and he didn't know it until he got to the hotel, you know what I mean? It was funny as hell, more funnier than I'm telling it now, you know what I mean? Little ribs like that, nothing big and heartbreaking and destructive, but little ribs like that, or stretching a young kid, you know what I mean, a little bit, or stuff like that. But I can't really remember anything particularly because you guys just called me out of the blue, but I've been expecting the call, but I haven't been thinking much about, you know, what I was going to say, so.
If Owen could have his fans remember him for one thing, what do you feel that would be?
God, I don't know. That's a big question because he can be remembered for so many things. His talent, what a talented guy. He could have been a world champion. I mean, he was that caliber of wrestler. I mean, you remember him for being a great family guy. I mean, he had several kids, a wife. You remember him for that. You can remember him for being, you know, a great Canadian and always supporting his country, and so many things you can remember as a teacher. You know, he knew so much. He was so knowledgeable. He grew up in the dungeon, you know, the famous dungeon that Stu Hart trained so many guys and stretched so many guys. So we can remember for being a teacher and several different things. He was always people's choice, people's champion, always helped out with the charities, and always, you know, were real good with the kids, and you know, stopped into the autographs, which we all did, but he went above and beyond. So there's several things, several dozen different things you can remember him by. But you know, I hate to say that a lot of people remember him as the big fall and his, you know, and his big accident on pay-per-view. So I don't want anybody to remember for that, but unfortunately, when I talk to people and his name comes up, that's the first thing he said. Oh my God, the pay-per-view, the accident. Oh my God, nobody talks about all the good times and stuff that he did for other wrestlers and teaching and you know, showing guys the ropes and being a good humanitarian and a family guy and all that. People unfortunately remember the accident more than anything, but hopefully this tribute works out and gets us back where he should be. Well, no, it's not a negative thing that I'm saying about the accident, but, you know, it was a terrible thing, and then, unfortunately, people remember that a lot, you know. What's going on, Missionary Daddy? What's going on, my brother?
Pretty good, Fonzie. How you doing, sir?
Beautiful. I'm in Tampa Bay, close to the Gulf of Mexico. The Rays are in first place. They're playing good ball. I got a grandson. Life is good. I talk to Van Dam all the time. My house is paid for. I just had a New York strip for lunch. My daughter's beautiful. I got a girlfriend coming over later to hang out in the jacuzzi, and you know what I mean? It's Sunday afternoon. Life is good, brother.
Sounds
We're going to watch the L.A. game tonight. Life is good.
Sounds very nice. Now, I had a question. Over the years, what was the most rewarding thing about knowing Owen?
The most rewarding thing would probably be as a peer, you know what I mean? A good guy to work with. You could count on the guy. Most rewarding thing is about knowing Owen, that what a background he had and the famous family he came from, and there's so many things. I was just, you know, blessed to know Owen, and you know, I'm blessed to know everybody, but unfortunately Owen's not here, but
yeah.
You know, and I got along with everybody. I don't know why. That's why I lasted. I'm still in the business today. I still do quite a few different things, and TNA's not out of the question. Van Dam's shooting for me, and you know, 10% chance that they might pick me up. But
if Bill Alfonso was to write a book about Owen Hart, what would you call it?
One of the greats.
Very
one
nice.
of the greats. And of course, there's hundreds of them, but he was one of them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He was one of them, one of the greats.
Thank you very much, Fonzie. It's been a pleasure, sir.
No, not a problem, brother. My pleasure, especially speaking about Owen and having you guys involve me in the tribute. It's very cool of you guys.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Not a problem. Bill Alfonso's pleasure, Daddy. Anytime, brother.
Well, thank you.
All right, we're winding this thing up. And you guys have a great day, and keep up the good work, and life is good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
All right, and we are back on the Owen Hart Tribute Show. You know, I personally want to say, and this is JT Evans here, I want to say, you know, Owen was one of the reasons that I got into the business. I remember watching Owen during the Attitude Era in the WWF. I remember watching almost all his matches. I actually was supposed to buy the pay-per-view when he passed away the night that he took the fall. Honestly, I still to this day watch a lot of Owen footage, and Owen is always going to be in my heart as a worker and as a fan. And honestly, I want his legacy to live on.
There is so many things that people have said about Owen over the years, how much they miss him, how much they love him, from in-ring to character to as a person. It's sad to know that somebody that was so special to so many people is just no longer with us today. And I can honestly say that everything that I've seen by Owen, you know, I mean, from his matches with Brett and just over the years, even as the Blue Blazer or with Coco Beware, he never failed to impress anyone that watched him. And I think that's probably the greatest piece of his legacy.
I would agree. Now, we actually have Viper on this, so Viper, go ahead, man. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Hey, yeah, I remember watching Owen Hart in a match with Brett at one point. I forget what the pay-per-view was, but I believe that was, in my opinion, and it always will be, one of the greatest technical matches in WWE history. Both of them obviously trained by Stu Hart, and, you know, growing up in the Hart family and the training in the dungeon, it's, you know, he's Owen Hart, and honestly, it was watching him that kind of inspired me in a way to get into, you know, the business. And I mean, I will admit I'm not as technical. I'm not, you know, I'm far from it, but it's made me appreciate watching, you know, his matches has made me appreciate that, you know, the technical aspect and everything. And he was definitely one of the greats, and he was the king of hearts. There's just no other way to put it.
I would have to agree with you. We do have one other caller I want to get on real quick. Viper, stay on with us. This is the Golden Crevet. You're on.
Hey, JT. Thanks for taking my call. I really appreciate that wholeheartedly. Real quick, though, you know, you were talking, you know, earlier about how you were going to order the pay-per-view. I actually did order the pay-per-view, and what a moment when, you know, they did the promo, and then, you know, the whole thing really zoomed to the crowd, and I was like kind of upset. Like, you know, I was young at the time, and I'm, you know, watching with my dad, and my dad was like, "What's going on?" And we didn't even know what was going on. We thought it was part of the story, you know, part of the show, and you know, I found out the next day. I'm like, my heart really sunk, and you know, I actually met Owen Hart like maybe 2 years prior to that in Northampton, and one of the nicest guys you ever meet, and as a person, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Smith, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, there's been a lot of very heartfelt tributes to Owen, and I appreciate them all. I hope some of my family, if they're not hearing the show live, I'll put them onto where they can, you know, catch it on the internet later. Some of the guys touched on stuff that was so, you know, very observant to them. Like Owen, he was an overachiever, and he does have a legacy of excellence, and his